And welcome back to the end of the Avatar Lantern Corps videos. Now, when I initially started this, I wanted to go with like the core four that we'd go over with Zuko, Aang, Sokka, and Katara. But I then realized I could go a little further than that. I didn't do Toph. Toph kind of seemed like an obvious one. Didn't really need to go over it. I obviously want to do Azula, though, thinking on the Avatar characters. And I think I wanted to close out on a nice guy, on one of the heroes, if you will. So I decided to close out on Iroh, who we're talking about here today. Now, let me just get over to... So, there we go. Let's start over on the black side of things. That sounded weird. So yes, which Lantern Corps does Iroh... Do we even know their last name? Come to think of it. Azula, Sokka... Do we know... We know Toph's last name. It's Bei Fong. Do we know any of the other Avatar characters' last names? Anyway, the Dragon of the West. Or the former Dragon of the West, as he was retired at that point. So Iroh being the uncle, the uncle of Zuko, and, the friendly, jolly uncle, but still a badass, offering sagely wisdom. What Lantern Corps does he belong in? So let's figure that out today. Now, as always, I go through categories of three. I go through the Nope, as what I call the Nope Lantern Corps. They cannot belong in those Lantern Corps. Excuse me. The possible, but there are better options. And then the most likely candidates. And we will be looking at Iroh at the end of Book 3, not going into Korra. Because let's be honest, if we're going into Korra, then the Black Lantern ring that we're on right now would be the most suiting. Unfortunately, we're not, so it's not. So right off the bat, let's get that out of the way right now. The Black Lantern Corps does not fit Iroh at all. He's not dead, nor did he die, nor has he ever been dead, nor does he embody death in some way that he would qualify for that. So can't include him in that. I also cannot include him for a Yellow Lantern ring. That just does not work. Now, the reason for that is to be qualified for a Yellow Lantern ring, you need to be able to instill great fear. You have the ability to instill great fear, as it says literally right in the front of us right here. Welcome to the Sinestro Corps. Now, while Iroh's reputation did precede him, he was the Dragon of the West, so he had a reputation. It's not that he couldn't instill fear if he really wanted to. And there are times where he did scare people. Like when he busted out of jail, he scared the crap out of those guards doing that. But it's just not something he did naturally. Like, it just, he walks into town and people are afraid of him. No, if you just look at him, he's just a jolly old man who enjoys life and tea and everything along those lines and just likes to, having a good, happy conversation while drinking tea. He loves his tea. He wants a tea shop. He's not a kind of guy who really embodies fear. It's not the same as with Azula, who, when people saw her and, just knew right away, this is a dangerous person, you do not want to mess with her. It's not the same circumstance. Likewise, he also does not embody a Red Lantern ring. Rage, he's no more angry than any other person. We've seen him get angry. We've seen all the characters get angry. You have great rage in your heart, that needs to be your primary emotion. And it's just not something that suits Iroh at all. Last but not least, also, he cannot qualify for the Orange Lantern Corps. It's just not a corp that's in him. He's not someone who has any real avarice in his heart whatsoever. He's a man who has reached a point in his life. He has everything he wants. He has his tea. He has his pai sho. He has, the company of his nephew, who he's very comfortable with, and he cares very much for. As he said, he looks at him kind of as his own. So he's just not a greedy person. We've seen that. Even though the fact that he was on the larger side, it's not because he was gluttonous or anything like that. He just enjoyed life and enjoyed food. And leading into that, honestly, and I'm not joking. I'll say this. This is not the guarantee. I go from the nose to the yes. The White Lantern ring is not something that I think would 100%. There's better options than the White Lantern ring of life, but at the same time, Iroh embodied so much life, and first off, qualification, being alive, but also protecting, fostering, nurturing life, living your life to your fullest. In his older age, as we saw, he just was a man who's jovial, full of life and energy, despite, his age. And it's never said how old Iroh actually was, but we know he's older than Ozai. We know he's older than he's the older brother too, hence the gray in his beard. But we also know that the people in Abadar can live a long time, like easily into their hundreds without issue. I think Kyoshi was over 200 when she died. So yeah, people in Avatar are long lived. So he could easily be 100 and it wouldn't show. I don't think so. I get the impression he's more like in his 60s or 70s, something like that. And Ozai is probably only in his 40s or 50s. And again, 50 is still very much in the prime. So again, it's hard to say, but the way he nurtured life, the way he just enjoyed life so much, tried to live it to the fullest, the best he could. And it wasn't like he was a thrill seeker or anything, but he just enjoyed doing everything he could, helping that little flower, what was it? Because there was a bunch of stories of Ba Sing Se episode where it was basically not homage, a tribute to Mako. He does he helps the flower bloom in the partial light. He's very well aware of the balance that is needed in the world. Hence, with the koi fish, the moon spirits, yin and yang. While it's not his strongest category, I think it's one that he very well could be a part of. I just think there are at least three. There are three other ones that I think he actually embodies even more than this. But it is a good candidate for him. Violet is another one that I think he could. Now, this one isn't as strong as the White Lantern Corps, or the Star Sapphire, if you will. You have great love in your heart. Welcome to the Star Sapphires. You need to love. You need to be able to love and love hard, and just have that dominate you. And Iroh again loves Paisho, loves tea. If his love of tea were to qualify for the Star Sapphires, he'd be a member instantly. Excuse me. Whew, there we go. But and then of course he loves Zuko as well. He's even said I think it was at the end of season 1 where Zuko's going out to try to catch Aang and the gang and say, I think of you as my own. You were basically like my son. Yeah, and when you really look at it, it's like Iroh really was the father Zuko really deserved and needed, instead of the one he unfortunately had. So, so love is a possibility, but the problem with any Lantern Corps is that whatever emotion you embody, it needs to be the dominant one. There are scenarios where you can embody more than one emotion. But there are very few rings that work well together. Blue and green being an obvious exception to the rule on that. And then white is obviously the culmination of all the colors coming together. But it's a representation of life, not an actual emotion on the spectrum. By the by, just so seeing as we're talking about all the colors, I don't include the ultraviolet lanterns because it's still not proven what they are the embodiment of. It's believed to be shame, but until there's a proven emotion for that, I'm not going to be using them. So, and then I'd have to make a whole new, think words here. I'd have to make a whole new, thumbnail because essentially it's really easy to reuse this thumbnail. All I gotta do is put a new picture over the old one, and then I can just keep the, Lantern Corps rings on the side. But if I eventually have to include the ultraviolet lanterns, that will make things a little bit more difficult. But yeah, so while love's a possibility, I don't think, again, it's his strongest emotion. It's just not something that really ultimately works in his way. He's got stronger emotions, such as willpower. Now, you have the ability to overcome great fear. That's usually what the Lantern Ring will say. But you still have to have strong willpower to match that. Iroh can overcome great fear. We've seen him do it. We've seen his past self overcome great trials and tribulations. Iroh is a very enlightened individual. Hence, I do know in the Legend of Korra, he became a spirit, and, he's basically like a Mad Hatter style dinner party, which is kind of hilarious. But, I mean, Iroh's willpower he's got extremely strong willpower. He's been through a lot. He has still gone through a lot throughout, especially season 3. Like, the amount of willpower, just, not break at all, understand that you're just being upset for your adopted son, and basically just working out in prison just to get that up. And then, going toe-to-toe, or retaking an entire city. That takes willpower, man. That takes a lot of willpower. But it's not the emotion I think he goes best with. It's not the corpse for him, despite the fact being a strong candidate for one of the, it's the top 3. It's in the top 3. But the next one on the list, I think, is the Blue Lantern Corps. Now, I was able to think about it. The Lantern Corps of Hope, or Blue Lantern Corps is the Lantern Corps of Hope. You have the ability to instill great hope, or you have to have great hope / faith in oneself. You need to hold on to that hope. And Iroh does that in spades, honestly. What is he constantly trying to do for Zuko? Trying to set him on his way. He does give hope to those just by talking to him, because he's had so much experience in life. He's able to impart that wisdom onto others, and it gives people a bit of hope in themselves. Likewise, he continues to hold out hope for Zuko that he'll be able to find a better way, have a better life, and make his own path. And he eventually does do that, and his faith is rewarded. Likewise, he keeps hoping to retake his tea shop and just sit and eat, drink tea and play Pai Sho every day. Like, yeah, hope really would fit Iroh when you really think about that. However, it's still not the Lantern Corps that I think is the one that suits him the best. Ultimately, when I started doing the Iroh list, this one immediately stood out to me from the get. And I had to go through all of them. I'm like, oh, no, this one could fit pretty well, too. But to me, it's a no-brainer. It's compassion. What has always been a defining trait when it comes to Iroh? His ability to be compassionate and understand a situation, to try to help someone out, to talk to someone, hear them out, and then try to, help them out with their issue. Iroh has always been probably the most compassionate, even beyond someone like Katara, who is very compassionate, is the most compassionate individual in the entire series. Constantly, he sits down with Zuko at his dock. He's had conversations with Aang. He had a conversation with Toph. In fact, I think the only 2 people he had some conversations with Katara and Sokka. It wasn't really about, dealing with their problems, but still. He's had conversations with other individuals as well. He's even tried to help Azula. Unfortunately, Azula is a lost cause, but still. He's just a very kind, that guy who tried to, epitome of compassion right here. The guy who tried to mug him in that same episode of Stories and Bossing Say. He just, I love that verse. The guy's like, yeah, boom, oh, yeah, your stance was off. Okay, hold on. Yeah, all right, that better? Better, all right. And then he just sits down, has some tea with him, and helps him out with his problem. If that doesn't signify that he is a lantern, he is an Indigo Lantern, he's part of the Indigo tribe, then I don't know what does. To me, it's really been a no-brainer. And hey, pay attention, stay tuned for Titans coming on the DC All Access. They're getting free promotion from me, and they're not paying. I'm getting, they don't have to pay me nothing. I'm just doing this because I'm doing it. Anyway, I could theoretically move this, but whatever. I've already done the video. To me, it's really is a no-brainer. It's compassion. So to me, I think ultimately the Indigo Corps of Compassion is Iroh's best suited core. I think that just, and can you imagine, just think about this for a second. They do have rings, but they also have these staves as well. Can you imagine Lantern Indigo Corps Iroh hanging a teapot from his lantern, from his staff, and then, when he just, is talking like a Green Lantern, suddenly just boils the tea on his staff, and then just energy constructs some cups, and then just have a... I can totally see him doing that. That would totally be an Iroh thing to do. Oh, and I would... Someone draw me... If anyone could do fan art, someone make some fan art of that. Indigo Corps Lantern, Indigo Corps... And because a little spoiler, I'm not going to say what. Green was one of the colors I think Zuko could have been a part of. So just have Green Lantern Zuko sitting with Indigo Corps Iroh drinking tea from the energy construct cups and his little tea kettles hanging from the staff. I would love to see that. I really would. Anyway, I digress. So that's my thoughts on what Lantern Corps I think Iroh belongs in. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you want to review something, put in the comments below, let us know, we'll do a review of it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, superhero, magic, what if, anything I do on this channel. Put that in the comment below, let me know, I'll get to that at some point. I'm gonna see if I can get some stuff prepared to do a discussion video in a little bit. The discussion video was just kind of a whim, but it's now that me and Carrie had finally finished the third season of Bleach. I've seen all the anime of Bleach. God, I wish they put that final war arc in the animation. I really hope they bring Bleach back and finish it out. I do, and that way, yeah, hey, they put filler in these things. You could actually fill out the rushed end with some filler. That made sense. Maybe answer some questions, like what the hell is Ishin's Bankai, for instance. Anyway, I digress. So because we finished that, I can there was a top Bleach based discussion video I wanted to do, but I wanted to wait till the reveal of Aizen got revealed to her, and she was even like, "What?" It's like, "Oh snap! He's the villain." Spoilers if you haven't watched Bleach; it's only been out forever. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Plus, don't forget who would win and what if for tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Later. Whoa. Anyway. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.